This robotic exoskeleton works by monitoring the movements of the person who's wearing it.
Force sensors read the onset of movement, and these readings are fed into a computer several thousand times a second. Before the pilot exerts any significant force, the computer calculates what each hydraulic muscle needs to do. Then it commands the muscles to mirror the pilot's movements.
If I were wearing this, I would only just have to start to move my arm, and it would be interpreting which muscles in its robotic skeleton it should be flexing and how hard it should be flexing them.
This is actual footage of the Sarcos exoskeleton in action. The suit will enable a soldier to hike for days without tiring, operate weapons too heavy or powerful for one person, and repeatedly heft staggering amounts of weight while unloading supplies.
If you could combine a brain-machine interface with a robotic exoskeleton, you could go some way to creating a super soldier, better than us, stronger, faster, absolutely lethal.
When we were researching the scripts for Terminator 3 and the fourth Terminator movie, we spent some time with DARPA researchers, and it was fascinating to find out that no matter how far-fetched the stuff we were thinking about it was in fact something that they were already working on in some capacity or another. I mean, everything from weaponized insects to brain implants that would control military hardware.
But the ultimate goal of scientists is full autonomy. Robots that make decisions on their own. And it may not be far off. Consider that manned, heavier-than-air flight was once considered impossible. Then came the Wright brothers. Less than 70 years later, we were on the moon. We call this the alpha barrier. That moment when one innovation radically speeds up the tech revolution.
I think you can see the robotic revolution as really kind of an extension of, well, the Industrial Revolution, but also the Information Revolution and the Automation Revolution. It shows the kind of tension that we have in our society, and that we love what technology can do for us, but we are also suspicious about the ways that it could turn around and hurt us, in which it could be used against us.
The terrifying reality of fully autonomous robots is closer than we think. Until scientists can create free-thinking robots, robots with brains, these mechanized warriors will remain under our control. But the day of independent killing machines may be approaching.
From DARPA's point of view, the development of artificial intelligence is a key enabling factor in robotics.
In warfare, humans rely on brain power to survive. The line between life and death depends on how fast we identify the enemy, how quickly we size up the situation, how rapidly we react. If future wars are to be fought by machines, they too will have to make split-second judgments and lightning-fast decisions, all on their own.
It's impractical to have remote-controlled armies. You would be at a disadvantage given the fast-moving pace of battle. In modern combat, the situation changes every second, and an autonomous robot would be able to respond instantly to those changes.
And as you add autonomy to military robots, as they get used in combat operations, the question arises, at what point do we give the ability to make a kill decision to a machine?
It's a question we may have to answer sooner rather than later.
There was a study prepared by the US Joint Forces Command which suggested that as soon as 2025 we might have the technology to build autonomous battlefield robots.
The barriers to spawning autonomous Terminators are quickly disintegrating.
We may not be far off from developing the technology for an autonomous robot deciding whether to kill or not to kill. It's very difficult in the field of robotics to know exactly how advanced we are because, of course, the technology is highly classified.
But advances in some Japanese non-military droids give us a glimpse into how robots are quickly acquiring the brain power needed for autonomous combat. The Japanese computer firm Fujitsu has developed a series of robots called Hope, which are able to learn movements the same way humans do.
Hope is a tool for assisting researchers in studying artificial intelligence and software for future robots. Hope's control system is run by a neural network.
Fujitsu's Hope robot is one that is controlled by what's called a dynamically reconfigurable neural network. Basically what this means is that they're using computers to simulate the kinds of activity that go on inside our brain.
When humans learn, their brain cells make connections, organizing themselves into neural networks, which are like circuit boards. Each neural network performs a specific function or holds a specific memory. In a similar way, the Hope robot's computer has artificial neurons, which self-organize into neural networks. This ability allows the robot to learn as a human baby would.
Human babies take years, many, many years, to learn how to use their legs, how to use their hands, how to interact with other humans. It's all based on learning. So a huge section of artificial intelligence is the field of learning.
In experiments conducted by Swiss scientist Sylvain Callineau, a Hope robot is seen learning a variety of physical activities from human teachers.
I can learn to do a lot of things.
It watches how, for example, researchers will execute certain kinds of jobs, how they will pick things up, how they will open a door, how they may be stirring a spoon inside a bowl. And then the robot starts to mimic those kinds of activities. The scientists can then make small adjustments to the robot's limbs to try to fine-tune those movements. And through repetition, the robot gradually learns how to do certain kinds of activities much the same way people would.
Are you happy with this?
Oh, yes.
As artificial neural networks become more sophisticated, they will empower robots to do more and more things on their own.
The human will no longer have to tell the robot very explicitly, in very, very small baby steps, how to perform a task.
We would only teach or educate the robot. Humans won't need to program it anymore.
But in war, it's not just what you have learned, but your intuition. If, for example, the robot is in a situation where the tension is escalating, would it be able to pick up on the subtle clues like a human soldier would?
For robots to be autonomous, they need to have a lot of real-world smarts built into them. In many cases, they need to also be able to understand that people have intentions, that they have plans, that they are doing things. So there are situations in which they may need to try to get inside the head of a human being and understand what's going on.
Turns out they're working on that too.
What's really amazing is that these days you now actually have robots that are starting to be programmed to understand that what people want may not really be always what they're expressing. That in fact people may be thinking one thing and actually acting another way.
One of the more uncanny examples of these socially intelligent robots is Robosuke, born in the Kobayashi lab at Japan's Waseda University. Robosuke converses naturally with humans using both verbal and non-verbal communication.
The robot needs several levels of technology to have a conversation with us. My name is Fujii. I'm an associate professor at Waseda University. I invented a conversation robot, Robosuke. One of the basic level functions, as you can see on screen, is that the robot detects a human and recognizes whom it's talking to. We call the function personal recognition.
Even more remarkable, the robot can recognize head gestures to interpret the attitude of the person it's talking to.
Whenever humans